All right, I'm gonna begin my pre-trip inspection here, starting with the left side of the engine compartment. We'll start at the radiator and move our way around. So my radiator is secure and it is not leaking. The two-stage reservoir is properly secured and it is not leaking. This is where I check it and this is where I fill it. My lower radiator hose is properly clamped and has no spongy feel. There are no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. My water pump is belt driven. It is secure and it is not leaking. This is where I check my oil. This is where I fill my oil. My power steering reservoir is secure and it is not leaking. This is where I check it. This is where I fill it. All the lines are attached and not leaking with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The power steering is gear driven. The compressor and governor are both securely mounted at the back of the motor on the driver's side. The lines are attached and not leaking with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The compressor is gear driven. My frame is straight with no cracks or welds. And onto the steering. This is my steering shaft. It is straight, secure, with nothing wrapped around it. There's no excessive play in the U-joint. My steering box is secure and it is not leaking. All the hoses are attached with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Steering linkage. I have my pitman arm, my drag link, upper control arm, steering knuckle, lower control arm, and tie rod are all properly secured with no missing castle nuts or cotter pins, and there are no broken or missing parts. Onto my suspension. We'll start here at the shock absorber. So my shock absorber is secure and it is not leaking. The spring mount and the shackle are both secure with no missing or broken parts. The leaf springs are aligned with no cracked, broken, or missing leaves. They are attached to the axle with 2 U-bolts. The axle is straight with no cracks or welds. Onto my brake system here. We'll start at this brake line. The brake line is secure. It is not leaking with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The brake chamber is secure with no leaks or broken parts. The slack adjuster and push rod have no broken or missing parts, and there's less than 1 inch of play. The brake lining, located here inside the wheel, is at least 1/4 inch thick with no cracks. The brake drum has no cracks or welds, and there is no oil or grease contamination. My rims have no cracks or welds inside or out. All my lug nuts are secure with no rust trails or shiny metal. Physically touch each lug nut here. Hub seal is secure, not leaking, and filled to the proper level. My valve stem is centered with a metal cap. This is an original tire with a minimum of 4/32 inch tread depth. There's nothing stuck in between the treads. There's no tread separation and no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts on the sidewalls. The tire is inflated to 100 psi. We'll move on to the right side of the engine. Start here at the upper radiator hose. Upper radiator hose is properly clamped, has no spongy feel, no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. My alternator is belt driven and it is secure. All the wires are attached and they are not worn, cut, or frayed. The belt is not worn, cut, or frayed, and it is at the proper tension. The windshield reservoir, the washer fluid here is secure, contains enough washer fluid for today, and it is not leaking. My frame is straight with no cracks or welds. The tie rod and lower control arm are properly attached and secured with castle nuts and cotter pins. There are no broken or missing parts. I'll now close and secure my hood. And now we'll move on to the front of the truck. The truck is not leaning to the left or to the right. There are no obstructions around the truck. All my lights are the proper color. They are not cracked, dirty, or broken, and they all work. I have 2 box lights located at the top of the trailer, 2 cab lights, the 3 ID lights in the center indicating that the vehicle is over 80 inches wide, 4-way flashers and headlights. Have a valid Massachusetts inspection sticker. My hood, bumper, and license plate are all secure. There are no leaks under the truck. We'll move on to the driver's side of the tractor. My fender mirror is secure. My door mirror is secure. The company ID is displayed on the door. The door latch works properly. Allow me to demonstrate. The door weather stripping is all secure with no damage. The door hinges have no excessive play. Grab handles are both secure. My steps are secure. My battery box is secure. The batteries are maintenance free. I check them regularly for corrosion. My 2 air tanks down here are securely mounted. The lines are attached and not leaking, with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The tanks are drained at the end of each day. My def tank is securely mounted. The cap is secure, and the tank is not leaking. My fuel tank is securely mounted and not leaking. Has 2 metal straps with rubber insulators. The cap is secure with a metal chain and a rubber gasket. My transmission is secure and it is not leaking. The drive shaft is straight with nothing wrapped around it, and the differential is secure and it is not leaking. My air dryer is secure, the lines are attached and not leaking. Rear of the tractor. My 2 utility lights are working with no damage. All my reflectors are properly placed. The emergency and service air lines are both secure to the tractor and the trailer. They have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts, and they are not rubbing against the catwalk. My electrical cord is the green one here. It is securely attached to the tractor and the trailer. It is not worn, cut, or frayed, and it is not rubbing against the catwalk. My glad hands are secure and not damaged. The catwalk is secure to the frame. The frame is straight with no welds or cracks. My header board has no damage, and the trailer height is clearly marked. Onto the fifth wheel. The fifth wheel, located under here, is secured to the frame with no missing or broken bolts, and my sliding fifth wheel is in the lock position. There's no damage to the kingpin, the apron, skid plate, or the platform. My release lever, located on the back side there, is in the locked position with the safety catch over it. The kingpin, located right up in the center here, is locked into the locking jaws of the fifth wheel. There's no space in between the fifth wheel and apron, and the fifth wheel is properly greased. My tractor taillights, flashers, and plate light are all working. The plate is secure with a valid registration sticker. Onto the suspension here. My control arm hanger is not damaged, and the control arm is secure. There are no cracked, broken, or missing leaves, and it is attached securely to the axle with 2 U-bolts. My airbags and air mounts are secure. They are not damaged or leaking. My shock absorber, right here behind the airbag, is secure, and it is not leaking. Go over to the brakes. The tractor brakes and wheels. Brake line is secure. It is not leaking, with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The brake chamber is secure with no leaks or broken parts. Slack adjusters and push rod have no broken or missing parts. I cannot check the adjustment because the spring brakes are on. You can see my brake lining over there. The brake lining is at least 1/4 inch thick with no cracks. The drum has no cracks or welds, and there is no oil or grease contamination. These are bud rims with no space in between them. And there's no damage to the rims, inside or out. Lug nuts are secure with no rust trails or shiny metal. The axle seal is secure and it is not leaking. Valve stems are properly centered, both with metal caps. My tires are a matching set with a minimum 2 32nd inch tread depth. There's nothing stuck into the treads. The tires are not rubbing together, and there's nothing stuck in between them. The sidewalls have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts, and there's no tread separation. These tires are inflated to 100 psi. My mud flap is secure, and it is not touching the tire or the ground. We move on to the driver's side of the trailer here. The side of the trailer has no damage. All the lights and reflectors are the proper color. They are not cracked, dirty, or broken, and all working. The center marker on my trailer indicates that the trailer is at least 30 feet or longer. There's no damage to the frame, the cross members, or the trailer floor. My landing gear is secure and it has no damage. The sand pad is in the raised position and the handle is properly stowed. The air tank is secure. All the lines are attached and not leaking, with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Suspension mount and control arm have no damage. It is welded to the axle. shock absorbers, located up there, are secure and they are not leaking. My airbags, located in the back, are secure and they are not leaking. Trailer brakes and wheels. My brake lines are secure and not leaking with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. The brake chambers are secure with no leaks or broken parts. The slack adjusters and push rods have no broken or missing parts. I cannot check the adjustment because the spring brakes are on. My brake lining is at least 1/4 inch thick with no cracks. Brake drum has no cracks or welds. There is no oil or grease contamination. There's no damage to the rims, inside or out. These are also bud rims with no space in between them. My lug nuts are all secure with no rust trails or shiny metal. Hub seal is secure and it is not leaking. 2 valve stems are centered with metal caps. These tires are a matching set with a minimum of 2 32nd inch tread depth. There's nothing stuck into the tread. The tires are not rubbing together and there is nothing stuck in between them. The sidewalls have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts, and there is no tread separation. Tires are inflated to 100 psi. My mud flap is properly secured. It is not touching the ground or the tire. This is my ABS light. It is off, indicating that the ABS is properly working. Onto the rear of the trailer. Get back here so we can see the top. All my lights and reflectors are the proper color. They're not cracked, dirty, or broken, and they are all working. I have 2 box lights, 3 ID lights in the center, indicating that the trailer is over 80 inches wide, hazard flashers, and tail lights. I can check the brake lights if you would like. I will get in the truck, release my parking brake, and step on the brake pedal. Please give me a thumbs up when the brake lights come on. At that point, the trooper will tell me to either continue or to test the lights. If he does tell you to test the lights, you'll obviously get in, follow the procedures, secure the vehicle again, and then return back out. Once you get back to the back here, we'll move on. My license plate is secure with a valid registration sticker. The plate light works. The door is secure and it is not damaged. The latch and grab handles are secure and not damaged. The ICC bar is secure and it is not damaged. I'm going to move on to the passenger side and I will only tell you what is different. Passenger side is the same as the driver's side except for these 2 items. My exhaust pipe here and the muffler located down there are properly secured with no holes and there's nothing leaning up against them. My after treatment system located down here is secure with no damage or leaks. And that completes my pre-trip inspection.